We're often asked by readers and viewers of our stuff, what is it you guys are? What are you trying to do? What is this whole thing? And quite honestly, we don't know. It's, we want to say that we want to make these characters big, we want to make them exciting, but the thing is, these characters and these stories, they do that on their own. These characters are exciting. These stories are invigorating. But it's not because of us, it's just because that's the way that these stories are. That's the way these heroes are in this world. Yes, we built the world and we built the characters, but they kind of, they almost function on their own. So when people ask us, what are you? Well, we're Warbound. I mean, it's as simple as that. My name is Justin. I am the Warbound Vice President as well as Administrator in charge of a lot of our media, including making cool videos like this. I've been tasked with pretty much giving you the rundown on what it means to be Warbound, what we are, what we do, how our company works, and how we get stuff done. There will be a ton of other videos like this on our channel, but just so we kind of have a point of reference, this is me. I'm the one on the right, in case you couldn't tell. The one on the left is my beautiful wife. We were married in 2016. For those of you who care. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started with the rest of this whole thing because there's a lot of stuff to get through. Like I've said, there's a million characters, and by the time I finish this, there'll probably be a million more. So let's go ahead and get the ball rolling with how we establish this team, because a team is the biggest and most important part of having a comic company. Having a company of anything is having a team that you can rely on and support one another. We started out with some group members from a defunct comic team. That was Joe Anthony Barrios as well as Cody Conyers. Cody Conyers is one of our co-art directors. About 75% to 80% of the stuff you see on our site as well as comics is most likely Cody, just because he is such a talented artist. But those are the two, as well as some others who are no longer with us on the team. Those are the two who helped us start what Warbound is. Along the way, we picked up more artists such as myself, Justin Sue, and Colin Gatenby, who is another talented artist as well as world builder, which is something that I'll get into a little bit later, probably in a future chapter. But that's the team that we have currently of core members. Oh, we also brought on very talented artist Chris Chandra from Indonesia. Very, very talented guy. He came on basically just to help us with art. He was the first person who came onto our team who didn't have his own established universe, which is, I've said it 1,000 times, but a big part of having a team is being able to work together. Now, while each of us had our own heroes, each of us had our own set of stuff, the biggest part is how are you going to get that going? How are you going to get that combined? What we decided was basically between me, Cody, Joe, and some of the other creators who were on at the time and no longer with us, was that we would smash them all into one universe. And Joe was actually the one who went along the way and made I would think of him more so as the seamstress of the team, because he got all of those and kind of sewed them together and created this quilt. Along the way, there have been little touches and things that Cody or myself or Colin have thrown in to say, here's how this should work, here's how this can kind of make something make a little bit more sense. But establishing that world and that collaboration at the very beginning is very important, because you can't play a game of Monopoly unless you know the rules. You can't play Uno unless you know the rules. We can't create this universe full of these characters and these amazing storylines unless you know the rules. So having that set up is a big thing. Once Colin came on, he actually had so much stuff set up, and we just loved his stuff so much in his creation of the Spectraverse, which is an alternate dimension or alternate timeline that goes side by side with our world, and it gives us so much introspective into this big world that we're creating actively. So at the time, we had us and the Warbound universe. We brought in Colin, who created the Spectraverse, and Joe went in and kind of showed us the rules, and we all kind of worked together to establish the Bible of how these things worked, how these certain things functioned, how if there were going to be crossovers, how those would work, how these characters would come to meet each other. We functioned out a lot of the personality of characters, a lot of what drags these characters down, because that's a big thing is that we do. We spend a ton of time fleshing out characters that we've had for years And you would think that eventually you get to a point where you say, okay, that character is done being defined, let's move on to something else. But yet we find ourselves constantly going back to these characters to add something that makes them just a little bit more human, or take away something so that they can become a little bit more personable. So that's something that you have to have. You have to have that camaraderie in a team to say, hey, if I bring this up, I can tell you not just yes, not just I can agree with you 100% of the time, but I can tell you no if there's something with a character that I think doesn't work. And that's a huge part of building a team. So we're going to go into further detail on a lot of this stuff. This is just chapter 1, talking about how our team got built and how I feel and how I think the majority of our team feels a team should work and how it should function. And I would say, if anything, establish those rules and establish those roles, not for your team, but how your universe works. And once you establish those, you can move forward. But that's it for this chapter, so we will move on next time. Thank you for watching, listening, liking, and subscribing. Don't forget to check out warboundcomics.com for all of our latest stories and character developments. I appreciate you coming by. Thanks.